Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And the art fixers are in the building.
They are.
They're actually working at Marvel Comics right now. There's a bit of a brouhaha around artist.
Sorry, it's fun to say. Say it. All say it with me. Brouhaha.
Brouhaha.
Continue. Sorry, it's just fun.
Anyway, a brouhaha around Greg Smallwood, an artist on an Elektra book, who had his characters' eyes redrawn because they said that the way he was drawing Asian characters was stereotypical. So basically, they just made all these characters look like they're hyper-caffeinated.
Wait, let me get this straight. It's you shouldn't stereotype things and you shouldn't whitewash or westernize characters that aren't Western. So their answer was to give them smaller pupils and bigger eyes.
Yes, to make the Asian characters look more Western. Yeah,
They say fixed his shit. Fixed your shit.
Fixed your shit. So we're gonna talk about that because we have been talking a lot about art fixing here on the channel. But usually when we talk about art fixing, it's kind of like the situation with J. Scott Campbell. It is Tumblr or Twitter taking fan art or something and fixing it to be more politically correct. This is Marvel Comics themselves taking an established artist's work and without his knowledge or consent just going ahead and changing it.
Yes.
And he's not real happy about it.
And some things are like, kind of minor, like they just made the eyes have some more weight in them, and some things just look creepy like that one. That one just looks messed up. That looks like googly eyes.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned that. Perch on Twitter. I thought this tweet was great.
Well, he's not wrong.
In light of the Greg Smallwood debacle feels like an update to this classic Flames in it. Look at all these characters with the googly eyes.
Now, it was interesting, in his thread on Twitter, which you're going to look at, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
People were responding to it, and a lot of people were Asian responding to it, or they had pictures of Asian actresses or singers or whatever and had them there, and then they were talking about how his original drawing looked more, like what they look like as compared to how they changed it. And they were kind of like, why'd you do this?
Yeah, to be politically correct. And
how is that politically correct? You're just pissing people off.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a thing that's been going on for a while now. Again, not to single out any individual artist, but if you go out to Tumblr, especially when it comes to Asian characters or Black characters, they have how-to guides. Like this is, instead of just being one artist's interpretation of how to draw characters and how not to draw characters, it becomes sort of the law.
Okay, I get the yellow skin, like I get that.
Agree with that.
The other drawing, she just looks like anybody. I wouldn't, if you didn't tell me I was supposed to be an Asian character, I would never know that.
She looks Latina.
Or just someone with dark hair and eyeliner on.
She looks like honestly, a white girl with what,
Right,
it's
I wouldn't have got that. I would have just thought that was her style and it was a, basic light-skinned woman. I wouldn't have thought Asian. And in the other one, I mean, no, I think that,
that's exaggerated.
No one's going around painting them that color.
No, that's hyper exaggerated. I mean, I think ideally the truth would be somewhere in between the two, except for the yellow skin. That's stupid. Anyway, we're going to talk about this art fixing, infiltrating Marvel Comics. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 256,000 subs.
We be at 257,000, but it's audit time at YouTube.
It is.
So double check to make sure you're still subscribed because they often unsubscribe people that are subscribed.
So I do have to give a hat tip to Bleeding Cool. He actually, Rich Johnson did take Greg Smallwood's side on it, which doesn't really surprise me, but people are so afraid to speak out against art fixers that it becomes scandalous.
I'll speak out because some of these changes are stupid.
J. Scott Campbell, actually fixed a fixer's fix.
That was funny.
Of his stuff, and he got blasted on Twitter for punching down, and they wrote hit pieces on him. We actually got quoted in this one.
Did we?
Yeah.
You know what gets me though about this punching down thing? What pisses me off is basically the whole idea is if you're somebody that's a name or has somebody who's done something, that people are allowed to shit on you all they want, but you're not allowed to say anything back because that's punching down. Bullshit. That's just like jealous little bitches are allowed to like nip at your heels and say whatever they want and do whatever kind of asshole things to try to get them attention, but you're not allowed to smack them down to you're a bad person. Hell no.
No, it's basically a defense mechanism. I'm going to tell a teacher, I'm going to drag you. Because they know if you get a person with a sizable following and they turn their attention on you, you're toast, man. Like you're toast. But yeah, it's. I mean, welcome to the internet. Everybody can talk to everybody else. There is no barrier, but as we found out, through various situations we've been in, there is no barrier anymore. It's like everybody just lets it fly. Anyway, fixers are in the building. Greg Smallwood on Marvel's changes to Elektra Black, White, and Blood. I'm sorry.
Hence the colors of the comic.
Yeah, Black, White, and Blood, number 2. So comic artist Greg Smallwood has spoken out against the treatment of his artwork for an upcoming anthology comic, Elektra, Black, White, and Blood, number 2 from Marvel Comics, part of a series that focuses on comic book artwork. He has clearly got his comp copies from Marvel in advance and posted on Twitter to express his displeasure. Sad to say, without my approval, Marvel attempted to fix several panels of my art in issue 2 of Elektra before sending it to the printers. They're not huge changes, but I don't like my art being tampered with. Before, after.
Yeah, that one's the one I think that most people is a glaring one, is that one.
After a cup of coffee, after nine cups of coffee.
The next one, it's more like, it seems like they took more white to the eye is what they did on this other one, it seems like. And it's not as obvious as the first one, but it's still kind of obvious.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even, to be honest, this one I probably wouldn't have even picked up on.
No, I don't think that was even worth changing.
This one, I'd be like, why does she look like she's hyper caffeinated? Long story short, 2 months after turning in the finished pages, I was informed by my editor that Marvel's standards and practices flagged my art and requested I redraw several panels so they would be within tolerance for best representation of Asian characters. My wife and I are expecting our second child the following week, and I was racing to finish the issue of it before the birth, so I told Marvel I didn't have time to make the changes. I'd be perfectly fine with them pulling the story for sensitivity concerns. Sensitivity concerns.
I'm looking here, and I'm not like, there's a little change to the eyes to make them not look so Asian. That's about it.
I don't know.
They're trying to make them look on this one here.
Yeah, I don't even, like, some of this is... But the thing is, you can see it looks like it was done digitally, like his stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Right, it doesn't match.
It doesn't match.
This one especially, that one right there is glaringly, it doesn't match. Like
yeah.
the other ones aren't as bad, but that one is real bad.
Yeah, I would not have noticed this one. I was told that pulling the story was not an option, and if I couldn't do the revisions myself, the Marvel Bullpen would take a crack at my pages instead. I stated very clearly that I didn't want anyone touching my art, so I dropped everything I was doing and immediately reworked all the panels that were flagged. Unfortunately, I just found out yesterday the folks at Marvel didn't even bother using my new art, instead went to print with their own revised pages. I was not given a chance to make further revisions or even approve the alterations made by the Bullpen. They also attempted to cover up some nudity, which just resulted in a muddy mess. Again, something I was willing to fix. Yeah, it looks very...
But there's not enough nudity to warrant...
They put panties on her. Digital panties.
Oh my god, this is a splash effect.
Oh my god, this is typical Disney. Yeah, for those of you who don't remember, when Splash, a almost 40-year-old Disney movie, came to Disney Plus, they digitally added extra hair to Daryl Hannah so you couldn't see her butt. It was rated PG-13 in the 1980s. 1984, I think it came out. PG. PG or PG-13, whatever it was rated. And now it's too offensive for Disney Plus, so they gave her extra hair and it looked like her ass was hairy.
It looked like she was wearing a grass skirt, like it's something, or it was growing out of her rear. And that's kind of, this reminds me of. They put a loincloth on this person, and then, like, it looks badly drawn on.
Anyway, he just wanted you all to know because my name is on the comic, but I'm pretty annoyed about how it looks as a palette cleanser. Here's the cover in the first two. Also the best pages unaltered. I've got a newborn, a 3-year-old, and some tight deadlines to manage right now, so that's all I'm saying. Going back to my hole again. Devin Lewis, editor on the book at Marvel Comics, responded by saying, "So sorry, Greg. We'll own the mistake here. Had an email miscommunication."
Okay.
He addresses this. Miscommunication, like we spoke about yesterday. As we already assured you, we're using your pages on digital editions and any new printings and collections. Actually, no, not miscommunication, no communication. Devin apologized to me yesterday for not being able to respond to my emails concerning the edits. Some kind of server error on his end. He was not apologizing for the changes. He assured me yesterday I would be happy with them.
Wait, some kind of server error on his end. Wait. But if he could check his phone.
maybe Disney's email was all down.
All of it, yeah.
All of it. All of Disney's email was down. So this is what other artists said. Jen Bartel, they made your perfectly representative artwork look uncomfortably close to a series of racial stereotypes.
Yes!
They actually do look more...
Stereotyped, yes.
Stereotyped, yes. Not only did they make your work look objectively worse, the end product is actually really upsetting and counterproductive from an Asian sensitivity perspective.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're supposed to be making them look more representative of the people they're supposed to be, then why the heck are you making them have bigger, rounder eyes? I'm like, isn't that the antithesis of what you're trying to accomplish?
First off, their eyes look creepy.
Yes.
But the racial implications of it are deeply unfortunate. So weird. Why would they do that? I don't like what they've done. Alex DeCampi, this is some nonsense. I'm sorry you had to go through this. The corrections are horribly amateurish.
They are pretty bad.
I don't always agree with Alex DeCampi, but I would agree in this case because it looks like they just kind of digitally touched up.
But you know what's funny to me? Some of these people that are like, oh, we got your back. You're right. We've been ones that, like, if somebody else did this, how dare you be racially insensitive? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now it's interesting. You get down here. There are a lot of hot takes here, but basically supporting him. You get to Eric Larson from Image, and he's old school. He says, unfortunately, that's par for the course when it comes to work for hire. Mm-hmm. That is true. Every artist I know has had their work tampered with. They'll redraw work by Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby. Nobody's safe. It's one of the many reasons Image Comics came into existence.
I noticed in the thread on Twitter, other people were saying that too. They were talking about how their stuff had been altered by Marvel and stuff in the past.
Well, we talked about this with in regards to Image Comics and this union. And that was one of the things I do remember an interview with Rob Liefeld in Wizard Magazine when I was a kid. And he talked about how angry he was that I think it was John Romita changed the faces on some of his characters. I think it was Thor or Odin or something like that. But he said he was really angry because he got the comic and he just redrew the face. And he's like, the face didn't match the rest of my character. And they didn't even ask me. But I'm like, that's unfortunately, when you work for hire, unless you have it in your contract, like they can do whatever the hell they want to do with it.
Right.
I mean, that's the truth.
I like this, Nicholas Scott. Yours is so much warmer, more human. And that's what I agree with that. That's what it seems to me. It seemed to me that his version, it felt more realistic, more warm. And then when they put the white in there and they add the extra, it just looked like, it didn't even match. Like you said, the art style doesn't even match. Beyond that, it just made it look creepy. It took it from being warm and, feeling like a real person to being like, what the flip is that?
Like Becky has had way too much coffee.
Yeah,
way too much coffee. So yeah, I love this one. To avoid negative Asian representation, they made all their eyes Caucasian. Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Again, not trying to single out this artist, but when we've done art fix videos before, this is very indicative of the kinds of how-to tutorials you will find on Tumblr, and a lot of times they wind up making the characters look more stereotypical or everybody looks Caucasian.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, people, I hate to break it to you, but people of different ethnic groups have features that are, pretty much across the board for different ethnic groups. Now, making it a bad caricature of those features, it's never a good look per se, but to ignore those features is actually taking away from the identity of the group you're trying to
Right. That's
draw.
what I don't understand. Like when I read this, when you sent this over to me and I was looking at the tweets and I saw that, I was like, I'm very unclear. It's like their answer, and I said to you, their answer was to more Western wash the characters and make their eyes bigger. And you said, yes. And I was like, what? Because that was my first thing I noticed. I'm like, they look like they're taking what was making them Asian representative away. Like it was taking it away to make them look more like everybody else. And I'm like, at that point, what's the point?
Yeah. And then it said that overcorrecting. They're talking about, Asian characters, non-Asian people trying to draw Asian folks, and they kind of all look same-ish. I'll tell you the truth. The reason I think that is the case with non-Asian people is I honest to God think a lot of people are afraid to draw ethnically diverse characters because if they do anything wrong, they're going to get called out.
Right.
That character's skin is too light. That character's lips are too big. That character is too fat, too thin, not sexy enough, too sexy. You can't do anything right. So what happens is everybody looks like this. They all look the same because what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
When you've got people that are constantly on the prowl trying to fix your shit, what are you supposed to do?
I have to admit, though, I think it's absolutely hilarious. Some of the people they quoted as like agreeing with him, which, you know, I do agree with what they're saying, what he's saying, are people that if it had been somebody else or something else, they would have been like, how dare you appropriate? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it depends on what side of it you're on. And of course, you know, most artists don't want their stuff to be reworked.
So bad. Dude, I'm so sorry. That looks terrible. I mean, I don't blame you. I'd be mad too. I mean, this one is the glaring one here. I mean, this one just looks
no pun intended.
I know. I mean, this one it's not great, but it's not as bad. This is by far the worst.
But they ran it through a sensitivity reader, basically. So you ran it through. So what if he had actually been Asian and he drew? What if he was Asian?
What happens?
What if he was Asian and this was like based on his daughter or something, and you totally made this character not look like her anymore because you're so afraid of offending?
I know.
Asian.
It's insane.
You know.
If you go down here, I know in the comments people will bring. This was funny. These are beautiful.
Oh my God, that is correct.
But you go down here, people bring up some different example. I like that one too. That's beautiful. Different examples. This person said that they had theirs changed by Marvel, and then they had their character skin lightened by DC. But you get down here, and there's people that are actually Asian, are talking about examples of Asian women that when they're looking like that, and they said these are actual women when they're smiling or whatever. Here's how their eyes look, and you know. It doesn't look the way that you changed it to.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's the best one. That one wins. Good job, Meg.
Oh my God.
That's my favorite. You win today.
I like this one too.
It's just.
This is ridiculous. But look, the reason they're doing this is because
you're so afraid of being canceled
of this. You know, everybody thought that, J. Scott Campbell maybe was overreacting, but on Twitter, on Tumblr, they're constantly on the prowl trying to fix your art.
Well, I think Marvel's doing it because they're so damn afraid of being canceled.
Yeah.
By everything and being accused of, whatever. That they're taking it too far and actually literally turning it into stereotypes.
Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, you get to a point where the characters don't even look like the ethnic group they're supposed to represent anymore. And I understand, again, completely understand. You want to stay away from stereotypes, right? But you can sterilize characters so much that they don't even look like who they're supposed to look like.
Well, if you see when he put his original pages up on here, and he had said these are the two original. If you look at the original pages, where are they at? And here, when I looked at it, I was like, I was really kind of impressed about how well he captured, the faces. I thought he did a great job. I was like, wow, he did a really good job with that. And then, to know what they did to him, I'm just like, it's funny because I thought he did a really, really good job trying to stay, respectful and appropriate and like drawing people like they would look.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Oh, God, it's ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. This is where we're at, guys. I mean, this is where we're at with this. That art fixer culture has infiltrated comics.
Look, I want to say real
comics.
quick here. Well, the problem is we had to add whites to her eyes because you didn't see the white. You don't see them on her eyes here either.
No, you don't. It's a style.
It's the style, and it fits. It doesn't fit when you put the damn googly eye look on it.
What about Tintin? Tintin just has dots for eyes.
Mm-hmm. Some people do that, but this person, you can't just argue he's only doing to the Asian characters because he didn't. He didn't.
Yeah, this is insane.
And you're only working with black, white, gray shades of gray and red. It's gonna something like this is gonna happen. Plus, it's not just that. It's going to like you said, the style, when you're working that way and you have to make things like impactful, you have to do that to make the eyes like really, match your focus or whatever.
Oh my God.
I saw this.
Yeah. So this is a board security guard went and drew eyes on faceless paintings.
I don't know why you would think that was a good idea.
Well, it's funny because I talked to Squid King. I'm like, you would totally do this. Like you should
see
the scribbles he puts on like all these flyers and stuff. Mm-hmm. He turns the fruits.
What'd he say?
He said, yeah, I totally would. I'm like, well, I hope you have $1 million.
If you're a security guard in an art museum, you're not supposed to touch them. I mean, come on. I mean, how dumb are you? To be fair, depending on what the material they use, that they probably could take it off pretty easily.
Fixed your shit.
Fixed your shit.
Fixed your shit. So we're going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.